the EPA recently approved an experimental use permit to Oxitec, a biotech company funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. In an effort to fight malaria, Oxitec will soon release millions of genetically modified mosquitoes in various U.S. states. According to the NIH website, programs are being developed to allow human immunization via mosquito bite. It was Science magazine that coined the phrase, flying syringes.
Now, malaria is, of course, transmitted by mosquitoes. I brought some here so you could experience this. We'll let those roam around the auditorium a little bit. There. There's no reason only poor people should have the experience. Those mosquitoes are not infected.
Oh, sure, yeah, I'm sure they're not infected. In case you don't already know, that's Bill Gates who pulled that wild stunt during one of his infamous TED Talks. Now, usually we would chalk it up to a billionaire having fun by pulling off wild stunts, but in today's America, mosquitoes are anything but funny. In fact, right as I speak, these mosquitoes are wreaking havoc across the United States and killing people without any mercy.
Well, Doug and Antoinette, Acton is now one of several communities that is at high risk for EEE and West Nile virus.
The city does daily testing and has found an increase in insects carrying West Nile virus.
It's a small town, and the idea that somebody already died from this before we'd even heard anything really about it is pretty scary.
Some mosquitoes spread viruses, and they are making people sick across the country. Hundreds of people have gotten West Nile.
Hey, Terrence and Sylvia. Well, we know mosquitoes thrive in these warm summer months, and cases are most common in areas near bodies of water, while EEE is rare.
As you just heard, the scariest diseases spread by these mosquitoes are the West Nile disease and Eastern equine encephalitis, or EEE as it's most commonly known. And people are smart to be afraid of these diseases because of just how lethal they can be. This West Nile virus has already put Dr. Anthony Fauci in the hospital. Now, he's recovering quickly because he has the milder form of the disease. If you are unfortunate enough to develop the neurological form of this disease, you can experience brain inflammation and swelling, which results in confusion, seizures, paralysis, coma, and death. Some people can also experience long-term neurological consequences as a result of contracting West Nile. And this year it seems like this deadly disease is spreading at a much faster rate, and that's exactly why health experts are warning people to take precautions as the mosquito season is now fully in force. And this spike in West Nile cases is accompanied by rising fatalities from the EEE virus, which is way more fatal but usually spreads at a much slower rate. A 41-year-old New Hampshire resident has already died because of EEE virus infection, as this lethal mosquito-borne virus continues to spread in New England. Things are getting so bad on the East Coast that nearly a dozen people in Massachusetts are now designated at high or critical risk for the EEE virus. These same towns have now decided to close down public parks at night and restrict outdoor activities as mosquitoes are most active after sundown.
A New Hampshire resident died after testing positive for a mosquito-borne encephalitis virus. Dr. Tony Fauci was recently hospitalized with West Nile virus. One town in Massachusetts, residents are being asked to stay indoors after dark so they don't get bitten as much by mosquitoes. And now there's this new thing called sloth fever. So is this where you're, oh yeah, no, this happens, you're just deciding to report on it now, or no, this doesn't usually happen, and we have to be aware, and here's why.
Yeah, these mosquito-transmitted viruses are indeed accelerating, Chris, and it's happening not only in the eastern half of the United States and on the Gulf Coast and where I am in Texas, but it's also happening in the Caribbean, and it's happening in Brazil and in Central Latin America. So it's a hemisphere-wide problem. This is going to be one of our new normals, unfortunately, in the summer and early fall. By the time someone gets diagnosed, it could be days afterwards.
And yet, despite all these measures, the state has just confirmed a third case of this illness in the latest outbreak. Now, you might be wondering why the local governments are so scared of the EEE virus when there are only 3 reported cases. Well, the problem is that the fatality rate for this particular disease can be as high as 41%, and even the survivors don't get off easy because of the neurological damage caused by this illness. And unfortunately, there are no medicines or vaccines to treat this particular type of viral disease, so prevention might be the only way to protect lives. But the question is, why are these diseases spreading so quickly? Well, the simple answer is there are just more mosquitoes out there than normal. And while most people are blaming climate change and a warmer summer for this rise in the number of mosquitoes, there might be a more sinister reason behind this surge. I'm sure you've all seen this video by now. Videos like this one are exactly why Twitter, or X, is abuzz with users who want to know why Bill Gates is releasing more mosquitoes in the country when there's already an epidemic of these pests. One user writes, "Bill Gates' mosquitoes are out in the wild to cause further destruction across the world." Another one points out the very famous clip of attorney Thomas Rentz, who claimed Bill Gates was creating biological syringes used to vaccinate everyone.
Is production of a transgenic mosquito as a flying syringe to deliver protective vaccine via saliva. The Gates Foundation's been funding all sorts of genetic engineering of mosquitoes, and there's a lot of talk about using mosquitoes and a mosquito bite to help vaccinate certain populations. I don't have proof that that's viable yet, but I know they're working on it. Okay, so I'm not suggesting that the mosquitoes that Bill Gates is working with to engineer down in Florida are injecting anyone with anything. What I am suggesting is that I have absolutely indisputable evidence that they are working to make sure that they can inject you with something.
Tara Bull makes a scary observation, which I'm sure is on everyone's mind. She says, "Nothing to see here, just Bill Gates genetically engineering mosquitoes to become flying vaccines." How many more conspiracies are going to come true? Well, it looks like pretty much all of them might come true sooner than we expect. Now, if you are by chance confused by the relation between Bill Gates and mosquitoes, well, then you're in for quite a surprise, my friend. The billionaire claims in his blog that he has been funding a lab that breeds 30 million mosquitoes every single week. According to Bill, these hundreds of millions of mosquitoes, which are bred in a factory in Colombia, are used to fight off diseases like Zika virus. So essentially, the purpose of this operation is to reduce diseases like malaria in South America. And one of the companies working with the Gates Foundation came under fire as they were blamed for the malaria and dengue outbreak in Brazil. Now, just like any other criticism against Bill Gates, these accusations were quickly labeled as false news and were buried without much coverage. But the fact remains, we just don't know what he's creating in a lab that's located in a pretty lawless part of the world. And while he continues to release his mosquitoes in the US, all we can do is protect ourselves, because while the benefits of his mosquitoes might be fictional, the diseases caused by them are very real and are extremely dangerous. And that's going to do it for today's video. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe to the channel. As always, I truly appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and I hope to catch you on the next one.